Ladies and gentlemen, what the world's been waiting for, what the world needs now, the one, the only, amazing, original Johnny Blaze. Often imitated, but never duplicated. There's Johnny.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to the amazing original Johnny Blaze Show. It's always great to be here as I blaze right in with my karate kick. Let's have a blazing hot fun time. How can you tell when you're divorced? Whenever you find money on the street, there is a note attached. Please forward this to your ex-wife's attorney at the address printed below. A man's mother-in-law is laying on her deathbed, and she calls her son-in-law to her side. You and my daughter will be well taken care of. All I ask is that you place a nice stone upon my grave. The mother-in-law soon died, and 2 weeks later, the man put his old pet rock on her grave and then bought his wife a diamond ring with a 20-carat stone. 3 drunks staggered out of a bar and hailed a cab, and the cabbie decided to take all their money and dropped them off a block away. The cabbie drove around the block and then stopped the cab. We're here. That'll be $100. The cabbie turned around. 2 of the drunks were passed out, snoring. The third slapped the cabbie hard across the face. Here's your money, cabbie, but control your speed next time. You nearly killed us. A loyal employee asked his boss for a raise, and the boss replied, due to your position's capacity with the industry standard, it would be unjust to advocate a monetary increase. I don't get it, the employee said. That's right, the boss replied. You don't get anything. We have a blazing hot fun show with a special guest. He's a multi-talented singer, songwriter, and guitarist. Please give a big warm welcome and say hello to Jeremy Parsons. Jeremy Parsons, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Great. Welcome to the amazing original Johnny Blaze Show. It's great to see you, Jeremy.
Yeah, great to see you too.
Great. Oh, yeah. Looking sharp and debonair there. Bookcase, nice smile.
I know. I haven't read any of these.
Oh, you haven't?
I don't even know. I think they're my mom's or my dad's or something. I don't know why they're there.
I got you. All right. Well, hey, wondering, Jeremy, how did you get started? Tell me the Jeremy Parsons story. How did you get started in entertainment, and where are you from?
I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I was born and raised, and I was 17. I'd always played sports, kind of just as a hobbyist. I never had any aspirations for, rings or anything. Like I wasn't a trophy guy. But I think I got fed up with my coach one day, and I walked off football, and I was like, well, now I need a new hobby. When I was younger, my parents tried to get me to learn guitar, but I was an outside kid, so I was like, no, thank you. I'm going to go out there. But eventually, full circle came back around, and I ended up picking up the instrument, just got like completely hooked on it, just hours and hours, like developed calluses, like sometimes my fingers would bleed, and I was off and running from there. I learned to play and started singing and playing at the same time. Then I started writing and played my first like open mic writers night at 18, 19. And by 21, I had moved to Nashville, and I had already opened for George Jones and was up there like trying to play that game, which is all right. I think if you're in your early 20s, that's kind of fun. If you have that time to lose. It's not a waste, so you should always try. But yeah, so I kind of dove in, and I've always kept doing it, and here I am almost, if not, it's got to be close to 15 years in at this point. But
that's a long time. Did you ever go to school at all? Did you do any schooling at all in music or?
No, I did a little bit of, I tried to do a little bit of college because I think my mom really wanted me to go to college. My dad kind of was like he chased his passions. He was big in agriculture, and he got a degree in that because it just made sense. But music, I didn't, I was like, I did some community college, but it was actually for kinesiology because like I said, sports was always like something I fell into. So I was like, okay, maybe I can be like a coach and, help kids make exercising fun or something like that. But no, I never went to school for music, and kind of glad that I didn't after I talked to some of my friends who were paying off their college loans from Belmont and stuff still. So,
Let's see. And
uh,
basically, are you self-taught, or do you, as far as like playing the guitar and voice, you teach yourself how to do everything?
yeah, yeah. Outside of the few lessons I had as a small child, which I can give credit to like a D and a G and a C chord, but I didn't practice then, and it had to be my choice, I guess, at that point. But yeah, self-taught. I think I lean heavily on my ear, and I
I see.
always have, and try to absorb as much knowledge as I can, especially if you talk to like people that are actually, because I use my ear and I don't know the technical terms. I have a lot of friends that are engineers who will produce my stuff. I'm like, hey man, what is that? And he'll like tell me what it is so I can get the knowledge from there, which is actually really helpful. So if I need to tell somebody in any other situation, I don't feel ignorant, you know?
Do you play both electric guitar and acoustic? Is it,
I predominantly play acoustic.
I see.
Uh, I dabble on slide a little bit with electric and stuff, and I can play a little bit, and I can play a few parts on piano too if I have to. But acoustic guitar is my instrument for writing and for live shows.
I see. And what kind of music now do you go for? Is it rock? Is it pop? Is it uh,
I call it Americana, like alternative country. I mean, there's people call it regular country too. There's really no wrong answer. It's preference from person to person. I just call it Americana.
is that your favorite music that you go for? Is Americana and country?
It
What
it
you
it,
know?
Americana for sure is I think as far as depth of writing goes, and you still like the production sounds of like what originally drew you into country music, like older stuff, like the folky kind of vibes of like Glenn Campbell's "Gentle on My Mind" and stuff like that. If yeah, I grew up on that stuff because I was adopted by my grandparents, so
Mhm.
like they listened to a lot of older tracks, and so that just all sunk in. So I lean on that stuff, and I think Americana is like the today's version of like kind of keeping that going in a certain sense.
Okay, I see. All right. Who inspired you now? Is there anybody in particular that inspired you to be a singer and songwriter? Anybody you really look up to? Any one person or maybe more than one?
I would say as far as like writers go, the first one for me that really stands out is Hank Williams Sr. He was a big inspiration for me. Vocally, I think his voice like was the first one to be like, oh man, that one really grabs you. It's very unique. So you listen for like a unique tone or delivery of words and or structure of verse and chorus, and like what they can do is like that's not really a yodel, but it's also not a yodel. The it's in writing too, like for a dude who didn't have much more than a fifth grade education, like he was naturally a poet. Like there's just something that's naturally there in some people, and I think for him that really jumped across upon hearing him for me. But that was a standout from when I was a baby. My dad has a story of when I was in my car seat and Kalijah, which is a song that Hank wrote about a wooden Indian, which I think was around a lake lodge that he used to stay at occasionally. But when I was a kid, he'd put that song on. It has like a tom tom beat, that dum 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 dum. And he said he'd look back, and I would be like doing my hand to the tom tom beat in my car seat.
Oh,
Uh, so that's the first thing that comes to mind as far as big inspiration goes, and I pretty much at the beginning of my career molded my sound around him, and while I was still trying to find my own sound.
I see. And do you prefer original or cover songs or both? Is there anything?
Man, I think as far as playing shows, I love The goal is to get to shows where you're playing majority originals. I would say like 85-90% originals and a few covers in between, just so like if people don't know your stuff, they're comfortable with, they're like, oh, okay, I know this song. I'm grounded now, you know. But I love originals. I love playing originals for new people and seeing, you know, if there is a reaction, you know, like if something resonates with somebody. But sometimes there's a few covers, especially depending on the day or the show, songs that'll randomly just pop in your head, and you're like, oh, I want to play that later. So it's kind of it leaning more towards originals for your answer, but like there are those moments where you're like, oh, I really want to play this song tonight, you know?
I see. And do you prefer the larger or smaller audiences, and or you know the same, or is there anything particular that you like? And what is your largest crowd you've had, and your smallest crowd? And
Oh man, my smallest crowd would be probably like an empty room. But that's like I mean that's earlier on you were stoked to play anywhere, you know? I mean sometimes you still are, but it's the largest crowd, God, it'd have to be like I don't 3,000, maybe 5,000. The arena I played with George Jones wasn't actually that big, but it was cool because it was a rotating stage. But I played a festival where there was tons of people there. And honestly, like that's tons of people is cool, but like to go back to your original question, I would say I prefer I mean, not that I'm against a big crowd. That seems kind of counterproductive to say as far as like growing your career, but I do like the more intimate audience where I can sit there and like say I'm on a stool, you're in a chair, we're all just relaxing. I can tell you the stories about the songs, like, you know, all the little, you know, things that led to the creation and like the source of it all. Yeah, I love those. And like, you know, you can, people get to know you, you get to know people. Like maybe somebody even feels comfortable asking a question, you know?
I see.
I love that because you're connecting. It's like plugging the music directly into something, like the human auxiliary cord, so to speak. Like you're just like, hey, here's the exchange, and they get all the details with it. And I think I remember shows and moments like that where people ask me questions, be like, hey, I heard your song and I was going through a divorce and it really resonated with me. Like that's cool. Like I remember every moment I've had like that.
Well, that must be rewarding, very rewarding for you when people are they really connect with your music, and it brings them has meaning to them, and I guess to their lives, and they find it entertaining. So that must be very rewarding. That's what it sounds like to me. What you're telling me.
Yeah, it kind of means everything. It makes you feel like, you know, you're not, because creating, like, there's a lot of people that can make you feel selfish for creating art or creating something that you enjoy because there's so many people who've locked themselves into something that they're maybe not happy with, you know, and that's, you know, that's okay. We can get out of that too. Like, that's a choice at a certain point, you know, like, so people don't like hearing that either, but like, you know, you can sometimes feel guilty for choosing to do something that you love doing, but when you start resonating with people and it starts bouncing back to you and they're like, especially like for that example that I gave for that, the song is about my parents' divorce. And so it was like some people have come up and like, man, I was going through divorce, and it was like, I mean, it's kind of like stated in the song, which is Burn This House Down, which was a single from a couple albums ago. But like, I don't ever actually say the word divorce. So it's interesting to me when people come up and they're like, yeah, man, I was going through divorce. And that really, I was like, cool. It was unspoken and received. It makes me feel like all the work was done and laid out for somebody should they need it. Be like, hey, you're not alone. This happens, you know? So it's cool.
So you're able to connect. You both have something in common. That's for sure. You
Yeah.
both connect together. That's great. What's your happiest memory in your performances? Your happiest, and also has there been a time where you tried so hard to make it a show work, and for some reason it didn't? So talk to me about, you know, both of those experiences?
Man, my happiest time was so we went over to Norway. Uh it's been a minute ago, man. I'd have to go back on like my time hop on Facebook. Like it might have been almost 10 years ago. It might have been 10 years ago at this point. But we went over there and it was the coolest thing ever because like you're playing for like a sea full of people and they're all dancing. They're all up on the floor dancing. Like it's like they came to this show and they all agreed that they're going to do the same thing when music is playing and they clap after every song. They like but the is one of my favorite moments is I was while I was standing there talking, I looked back at the band because it's like it's almost like it's well because it's obviously your accent is unusual to them. Like they're not used to hearing you're not their everyday person that they talk to. So it's like they're just staring at you. And I looked at the band and I was like, should I just like shut up? Should I like just shut up and keep playing? And they're like, yeah, just be quiet. They probably don't understand you. And so I like as soon as you start playing though, they start dancing. So at like one point during the show, I was like, let's just like randomly stop and see if they stop dancing. And so like we start infused all these stops in the songs and I was like, they're on it. Like as soon as you stop dancing, they'd be like mid and it's like and you start up again, they start moving and we had so much fun. And as soon as I got off stage from the second show, the show promoter came up to me and he was like, you need to talk more, man. They love your accent. So I was like the whole time earlier when I was like they were like shut up, like they don't understand you. I was like it was a great time.
It sounds like it. Yeah.
And
And
as
that,
far
where was this at? Now, where was this at too?
I'm gonna say it wrong because I'm terrible with that info, but it was a Stavanger, Norway. I
Norway?
don't know if I'm saying that right, but it was in Norway. It was beautiful. We spent probably about a week and a half there. Got to go up the fjords, but they set us up. We flew in to Stavanger and they picked us up, and we played some hotels up and down the area. I don't know. I didn't drive. I was just so stoked to be there. But it was beautiful. I would do it again. Like
Wow, it sounds like you had a lot of fun.
oh yeah, I highly recommend going over there and
Oh,
just exploring because it's beautiful. We went in October and it was right before it got too cold and it was fantastic. But as far as the moments where the show like has just like
you tried your damnedest and something didn't work, no matter what. Yeah.
yeah, I can say that I think I've always we've always found a way to like kind of pull the show out no matter what happens because there's like you know if there's a will there's a way that they say but there's been a few times where it's just been like you're playing a show and you realize that it probably shouldn't be happening because it's almost like dangerous. So I've had those. We played a show in Virginia one time and it was a songwriter's deal and it was like drizzling consistently and like we were surrounded by electronics and it was I thought for sure they would call the show, but it was like cold and it was rainy and it's like my buddy's like pedal board like went out at some point, like it fizzled at one point and smoked a little bit and I was like that's one of those deals and that unfortunately like is not a show that shows like that you look back on you're like oh that wasn't I wasn't present for the audience because I was too worried about like something on fire, like something on stage catching fire or like
Right.
someone getting electrocuted. But there's just like there's some of where it's like, man, we should not be here. You know that gut feeling when
Right.
you're like, this should not be happening
Well, how were
right
you
now.
able? How were you able to handle all that and pull it together then with all the problems that you had there?
We powered through it, and on top of that, now that you meant that that was like just one of those shows where we just like we played together in Broadway in Nashville on Broadway in Nashville for years and so like you have to like work your way through like just belligerent audience members and people trying to get on stage and bar fights and stuff so you just navigate and power through and do your job. But at that show too, the sound. So the sound would get. This is a problem too when you're not in charge of your own sound. It becomes an issue, and you have somebody who like keeps touching the board even though they got it to a place where it was finally manageable. These dudes kept adjusting the sound the entire show, and that's just like, you know, if someone says they're okay, like you think that you know them well enough to like kick their performance up a notch by adding an effect or like, you know, adjusting the mids, highs or lows or whatever, and then that's cool. But like, we did not know these guys. And I don't know if their gear was just shorting out on their end or something, but it was one of those, it was kind of it, it wasn't the worst show ever. And I don't know, but it's gotta be in the top 5 as far as like, just a kind of a train wreck, but not on my end to where I was like there was almost nothing I could do but keep doing my job. You know, I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing.
I see. What was your worst show? Is there something so bad that you can't mention? You know, or can you remember your worst show?
I can't.
Okay.
I can't remember my worst show. So I used to drink quite a lot. And I'm 7 years no alcohol at this point, so it's probably good that I can't remember my worst show. So I there's no videos or incriminating, you know, evidence out there that I'm aware of. I'm sure one of my buddies has it in some Dropbox folder labeled blackmail, but I can't say that I've ever had one where I'm like, yeah, I would have done that completely differently.
Congratulations on being 7 years sober. That's great. You're on the right track.
Thank you. Yeah, it feels good. It felt like the right choice.
That'll add years to your life and life to your years. That's for sure.
There you go. I like that.
That's right. It's a winner. You're doing it. Oh yeah, because you were able to discipline yourself to do it. That's not easy either, but you're able to do it, to discipline yourself. So you're doing the right thing. That's for sure. Now, do you have any audience participation in your shows? And if so, how do you get the audience to participate?
Man, I usually don't solicit. I really don't. Like, I think that my favorite parts are when the audience just naturally feels compelled to do something but when it happens, you got to be ready for it, because that's what they want. They want you to realize that they're there with you, and then you reciprocate back, and it creates this whole cycle to where you just bring more people in because everybody wants to join. Like, once someone kicks the door open, other people will follow. You know that nobody wants to be the first one through the door.
It's a snowball. That's right.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is you like it spontaneity. You don't really make an effort to get participation. You don't make that effort. If that happens, then you're able to pick up on it and work with that. That's what you're telling me.
Exactly. Because I look at my job there, because some people come to places, no matter where you are, it's like some people come to places and they will know good and well that there's live music there, but they don't want to be a part of it. They want to be around it, maybe near it, but they don't necessarily want to be invaded with it. So I just created atmosphere, and everybody who wants to sit in a certain place within that atmosphere is always welcome. And sometimes those are those people that are be like, I'm here and I want to be involved. And so you just give everybody, you try to give everybody what they want, knowing good and well that, you know, it's not always going to work for everybody, but I'm always happy up there doing what I do. So that's the first step. And then the next step is to see if we can't spread the joy, you know?
I see. So you love what you're doing. Do you do any meet and greets and sign autographs at all on your shows?
Oh, it all shows. I make myself completely accessible at most times. There's very rare occasions when some people just can't quite pick up on context clues, like social context, and there's just certain people that's just the way they are. And but like I usually try to make myself just attainable at all times. If anybody I want people to come up and talk to me and ask me questions, like if they are thinking about pursuing the career, like please come talk to me about it. I'm an open book. Like for example, in a couple weeks, I'll be going up to my sister's school in Kerrville and talking to her middle schoolers about, they do a poetry course every year, and then they study some of my songs, and I go up and I play them for them, and I answer some questions about writing or the industry or like whatever they might have. So I enjoy the conversations.
Well, that's cool. That's really cool, Jeremy. Yeah, you're imparting your knowledge to these people. That's so it's helpful. And
well, yeah, I mean that's what we're here. We're here to figure stuff out and then share it, right? You know.
That's right. There you go. Giving is you're giving and they're giving you. It works both ways.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky to get to do this, and I don't, you know, I don't ever want to be too far away from the reason that I'm able to do it, which is, you know, without consumers, where does music go? You know.
That's true. Without the people loving, you know, and watching and coming, then what do you have then?
Exactly.
They need you and you need them. It works both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could sing to myself anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, some people sing in the shower, right?
That's true. It's good acoustics, depending on what your layout is.
Now, how do you handle, have you ever had performance anxiety before your show? And if so, how do you handle it? And also, how have you handled, probably, you know, rejections throughout life, especially in entertainment. So how have you handled both?
The performance anxiety thing is I never thought about it, so it never really happens. I think there's something that happens to me before I get on stage with certain shows where I know that it's important that I do the absolute best that I can do, which is usually what I try to always do, so it gets complicated there. But those shows, I get this form of excitement that, like, because I've had anxiety. I know what that feels like, but this is different. There's this certain intense flutter that is very present, and it's like I could literally I need to run 5 miles real quick before I get on stage.
So how do you deal with something if that happens to you? How do you
So I think at a certain point, you like at first you get freaked out and you try to push it down, and that might make the matter worse. But I think the best thing to do is to somehow, for lack of a better word, like channel it into the performance.
I see.
Like there was one show that I did where I was very angry at something that someone did or someone said to. It was someone I was with, and I can't remember the circumstance, unfortunately, but like I was mad, and I couldn't. I was literally like 30 seconds away from from being on stage when I found out the information, and I got on stage, and someone was like, "Man, that was the angriest I've ever heard you play those songs."
What made you so angry though in that particular time?
I can't recall this. It was I was mad at someone specifically. I think somebody had said something to someone I was with that was like really, really inappropriate, and it just like, or like they weren't supposed to tell him, and we had discussed it, and I think I was more mad at myself because it was like, man, we should have just told him, but then I had to go on stage, and the performance reflected how I was feeling, and it wasn't bad. Like I felt really good about the performance because I was able to channel the anger into some of the songs, and luckily some of the songs were angry, so it's like not angry, but the angst really worked with the tone. So I think that's what you do. If it's anxiety, I don't want to say that you would channel anxiety into a song, but if it's energy, you can put that behind your performance. And if the anxiety, if you're mistaking the anxiety for an excitement, because usually if you're in the right place, you're excited to be there. If you're in the wrong place, you can start to feel anxious.
So even though being angry is not, you really don't want to be angry. You're entertaining the crowd, but if you're angry, if you're able to do it in such a way, you can turn the anger into something positive. That's what you're
Exactly. You're not projecting anger at the crowd. You're projecting the songs, but you're venting the emotion through the artistic expression. So it's a complicated deal where you're getting rid of one thing out of one end, but it's coming out flowers, you know?
So you're getting your anger off your chest, but you're able to channel it through expressing yourself artistically through your performance.
Exactly, because there's some songs, like going back to the divorce song I was talking about earlier, like that was one of the songs that I played that night, and there's pain in that. So you can, put anger into that kind of pocket type of deal. It's like a similar, like it's hurt, it's sorrow, so it works. Like you can just make yourself. It's a more dramatic performance, I guess,
And what about rejection now? Rejection is throughout life, but especially in entertainment, you have to have it's not easy to put up, to be able to deal with it, to handle it. And how do you go about handling and dealing with rejection?
Oh, I mean, terribly sometimes, fantastic others. I think it depends on where I'm at. Like I don't always feel like I wake up every day and I'm like, all right, where are we at today, Jeremy? Mentally, I'm like, okay, we're bright and chipper. One day it's like, okay, I could sleep for 12 hours. Like on the days I could sleep for 12 hours, your rejection hurts me more because I'm already in that sulky, mopey mood. But on the other days, it's like, oh, it wasn't meant to be. I can't, it's multiple different lanes, and I feel like I wake up in a different one every day sometimes, but it's about knowing yourself and trying to figure out where you are in those situations. But rejection is inevitable at a certain point, and I do think the best way to look at it in this industry is like, because there's some stuff that just happens and it's good. Like you'll get in these domino effect flows where you're like, you meet like a manager who's interested, and then another door opens and everything's just working and it's fantastic. And then you get in other ones where you just draw the bum card every time. But so it comes in waves, and I think that a healthy mentality to keep, for me personally, of course, it is it's like, okay, I guess that just wasn't meant to be. Like something else might come along that'll be better for the situation.
So what you're saying, one door closes, another door can open. Is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, and one door might not have just opened because it wasn't the right door. Like keep trying doors until one opens. Yeah, exactly.
That all makes sense. Now, do you play by yourself, or you have a band? I assume you must have a band backing you up, right? Or you just play all by yourself, solo?
I don't have a band right now. I'm playing strictly solo. Like I said, when I lived in Nashville, when I moved back to Texas, it was kind of a reset, and even more so because I moved back November 2019, and then 2020 everything kind of fizzled apart for a little bit.
Right.
And so we were off the road anyway. So I kind of reset. I've been acoustic now for like 3 years, 2.5, 3 years straight. It's been nice. I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't mind just having to manage myself and make sure that I'm somewhere on time and set up my gear and like communicate with bookers and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, this is great. If I go into,
you like to be independent. You don't feel you necessarily need a band with you or other people. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the camaraderie is nice, and like I would love to play shows with my buddies if it all just like happened to work and make sense. But I play over 20 shows a month.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
So I have 24 shows in December on the books so far, and this is supposed to be like a slow month, but like I like to play. Like sometimes I'll do 2 shows in one day, and like when you got a bunch of guys and some of them have families, and it's tough to make that work for everybody, and I don't want to stop working. And I'm not going to stop taking shows. Eventually, I'd like to incorporate a full few band shows at like every so months, and build that up more and more occasionally is the ideal plan at some point. But for right now, this is rocket, or this is rolling like really, really nice for me.
Sounds like it's going well for you. It really
Yeah,
is.
it is. It is.
That's great. That's fantastic. Or do you have any? Can talk to me about your where you travel in your shows, and what's your favorite venue? Any ones that
My
stand out?
Yeah, so I travel right now. I'm mainly doing Texas. I played in obviously in Nashville quite a bit, in North Carolina, Virginia, um, Arkansas. I need to go out to New Mexico and stuff. My favorite venue currently, man, I actually played one today in Fredericksburg, Texas, which is in like the hill country up here, and it's probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. But my so like I would have to shout them out. It's called Augusta Vineyards, Augusta Vin in Fredericksburg, and it's insanely huge, beautiful place.
Is that in
But
Virginia? Fredericksburg?
no, that's in Fredericksburg, Texas.
Well, that's in Texas.
Yeah, in the hill country in Texas. But the other place that I think my favorite place to play, if I was like really gonna have to pick one, is a place in Dripping Springs, Texas, which is up 35 outside of New Braunfels. Like I think now it's a suburb of Austin, actually, but it's called Ghost Note Brewing, and that is it's this lovely couple that own it, and they've just built. I think it used to be their backyard or something, but it is a like property with a house on it, and they built this cool brewery like yard setting with like the lights running from like the stage, and they got a beautiful stage, and you can play like beanbag toss, and they got an area for kids and dogs, and it's gorgeous. Like you're at the mercy of the weather, of course, but it's one of my favorite places to play. Like I said, the owners, who are also the bookers, are fantastic people, and the atmosphere is fantastic. The drive up there is nice.
Sounds
Outs-
great. Yeah.
Outside of the traffic, but
Sounds like paradise there.
oh, it's beautiful, man. I love it. I love. I was
You're
there.
playing mostly in the South. It sounds like you're playing in the South. You're not playing back east, or you're not playing in California. You're playing mostly in the South.
Right, right. I'm playing mainly in Texas right now. Yeah, and that's the one thing about. And I need to get out again. Last time I went out was earlier last year in April or March or something, and I went up back through Nashville, went to Knoxville, went North Carolina, played like Charlotte and everywhere, then went up to Virginia, and then worked my way back down, and played back into Texas, and worked my way back down to San Antonio.
Boy,
Uh,
you're a busy guy.
I
You're a
like
happy,
it. I like
you're a happy
staying
busy
busy.
guy there. Yes, you are.
I am a happy busy guy. I'm happy because I'm busy.
You're busy because you're happy, right? Back and forth.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh, that's great. That really is great. What's a typical now? Have you ever had any time where you're performing and all of a sudden you forget the words to the song, or when you're writing a song, you get writer's block, and you can't seem to think of it. And if that happens, what do you do about it in both incidences?
So yes to both. We'll just get that out of the way right now. Yes to
Okay.
both immediately. When I forget the words to a song, it's you have that moment on stage when you're like, oh snap, I don't remember the words. So your writer's brain supplements something that is synonymous, or if it's just a he, she, or something, you like throw in something that fills the void. Because sometimes you just can't find it for some reason, or like you get so used to playing shows at some point, you realize you're not even paying attention to the song anymore. Sometimes you're thinking about like a million other things, or like a song that you just thought of that you're going to play next. So you're trying to lock it in there, and you're like, oh man, I forgot that like I'm supposed to be going to the bridge right now.
But you improvise. It sounds like, and try to make it come up with something similar And just to fill the space of what you're doing.
Yeah, you have to. And if it's an original and it's a new audience, you also like don't have to worry about it as much because they don't know the words anyway. But if it's like a well-known song, like you don't want to stop because that's way worse. Like you don't want to stop. You want to keep going. Like it's when you trip and you think you can recover. So you like keep moving forward because you're like, oh, I think I can get back on my feet. And sometimes you can, and sometimes you fall. But that's okay. It happens.
How about your songwriting? You ever had writer's block on that, and how you deal with that?
Oh man, I have writer's block right now on a song. I have a guitar part that I came up with, and I have the melody, but I don't. I have written ideas for, it feels like it needs to be a story song, and I'm having trouble finding a story that I want to tell that fits the song. So in that situation, at this point, I have to step away from it because every now and then I'll get the melody resurface and I'll start to get ideas. And that's what you wait for because at a certain point you realize that the songs came just so much quicker when I was younger, and I would just write them out. It was just song after song after song, and then I got more tedious about the ideas that would come. And so, like, I created my own blocks in a certain sense where I was looking for specific ideas. There were certain things that I wanted to say because my writing thing, I go in cycles of where I'm writing about certain things, or like my girlfriend was in grad school and she was like coping with a lot of stuff, and I realized that I was writing about a lot of the stuff that she and I were talking about when she would need to talk after like a long day or something. So it's like waiting for moments like that you can articulate and express that are like something more specific that like maybe translates back out to, someone else, like the divorce situation that we talked about earlier. Like you're looking for those moments that are like ideal life moments and are comparable, because so many people, we exist, within the same sphere, on the same sphere, like doing very similar things, even though we could be very different people.
Would you say you write your songs? Are you doing the words first or music first, or is it music first or words first, or how does that?
It depends on the song. Like I always liked it best. Willie Nelson said, the song finds you. Like the songs are just out there floating around, waiting for you to grab them, and I think that's partly true. But it's like, imagine being possessed by an idea. Like that's what it feels like sometimes. And sometimes the idea you are possessed with is just a hook, like this one line, and you're like, oh, I could use that, but there's no melody. And then sometimes it's both. It's the hook and the melody.
Oh, it's both. Okay, so there's no one set way. It varies depending upon the song, you're telling me.
Exactly. For me personally, I think it's sometimes it's I could just be noodling on a guitar part and then words come out and I'm like, oh, I like that works. So I think I just leave myself open to like, hey songs, I'm out here if you're looking for a home. It's I just leave myself open to like an idea, however it may come.
So
whether it's like,
it sounds like you write from experience. Is that correct? Is that where your experiences give you ideas?
Absolutely, yeah. The human experience interests me specifically. I think it's. I mean, we're interesting because we're all like so similar but so different, and you just look around, you're like, wow, we're all doing very similar things, and sometimes getting mad at each other for those things. And, there's all these like just crossroads of like ideas and like ideals of people out there. And it's fantastic. I think that's where else do songs come from?
A lot of singers talk to people, entertainers. They say they like to write they like to write words like a story to their for their music. Is that's what sounds like that's what you like too, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's and obviously we always take a lot of liberties. Sometimes I think there's some songs that are for some reason when I'm playing the guitar and I come like this song right now, like it needs to be a story song, and I can't. I've tried to veer away from that, and it I can't like it just it needs to be a story song. But some songs are just you write the exact experience, or like you write the exact story that you heard someone tell you, and you might take a little bit of liberties because stuff has to rhyme, and
So what's the
sometimes
secret to writing, you think, a very entertaining, like a hit type of song? Do you have any secrets on that?
uh I man, that's tough. Writing a hit song, I've never done it, so this is obviously just gonna be. Well, I man, that's tough. I don't think. Well, so writing a hit song, I think that the mindset that you might need to veer towards is like, all right, who's gonna sing this? Because like the thought process for a hit would be who's popular right now, who could make this song a hit. And there's a few songs that break through, like we saw Oliver Anthony recently with like that, Richmond, north of Richmond song. And there's certain flukes like that that break through, but very rarely. More so these days, I guess, with like TikTok and everything. But I think to write a hit song, you might need to look at who and this is the Nashville method. I had a publishing deal up there for a couple years, and the thing that people would say when they'd walk into the writer's room is like, all right, who we writing a hit for today? Not like, all right, what kind of cool song are we going to write today, dude? It was like, who are we going to write a hit for today? And I was like, so you pick a person and then you write whatever they're making right now. Not like you sit down and you try to come up with this super thoughtful idea, and you might still come up with a thoughtful song. I'm not saying that they're not all thoughtful, but you would usually do it that way, and try to kind of maybe look for something that artist hasn't said yet that way, because they're not gonna want to be redundant. I would hope not. I mean, that's a whole man. That feels like a whole breakdown. I could probably talk for an hour about that.
So even though you haven't done it, there's always a first time it could happen.
That's true. It would have to be kind of like just one of those songs that I wasn't trying to do it. Probably though, it just happened. Which does happen.
So part of it is kind of luck. You're just having a good time, and something happens to happen by accident when you least expect it. Yeah,
exactly. That's the best way to look at it. Like what you just said is perfect. Like you don't. I think going out there and like banking everything on that is, it would be probably a pretty disheartening career in life if you weren't just really enjoying the process as well.
so basically, yeah, sure, everybody wants to have a hit and they want to make money, but the main idea is to enjoy the journey. That's what you're saying.
Exactly, because it's a line of business that can work really well for you very fast if you have a lot of capital to begin with. But if you're someone who starts from like, the complete bottom and just is along for the ride, I think the longevity, just like I said, I've been doing, that was me. I've been doing this for 15 years and I don't regret a second of it.
That's a long time. It is a long time.
It's a long time, and like I said, I'm gonna keep going. If I can get another 15 years, if my body holds
Good
out
for
for
you.
another.
Good for you. I mean, you're doing something you love. You're putting your mind,
Exactly.
body, heart, and soul into something that you're not forcing yourself. This is something that you were meant to do, and you really love it. You're a very happy camper there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
and I think being realistic about the fact too that like if something isn't working for you, to pay attention to that. Like my goal has been like, I'll do this as long as it's working, but as soon as it doesn't,
I see.
that that could affect me and people I love around me if I'm just denying that fact. So something to think about, not something I focus on because it's
Of course.
seemingly negative, but just realistic.
Gotcha. Anyway, what's a typical day as a singer and songwriter?
Well, so you have, if you're a full-time singer-songwriter, like I am, um, you're your own boss. So you have to plan your schedule to, like, you are a business, you are an entity, you have to treat yourself as such. Like, if I was an office, all of me should be doing something to run and stay in business, so to speak. So if I'm not writing a song, I should be sending an email to like maybe a booker of a venue that I've wanted to play, or I should be doing something like messaging my publicist to like see if we can't get something in the works on this, or I should be like messaging my producer to be like, hey man, let's get back in the studio or work on a song, or messaging someone who's in charge of my artwork, or like it's there's always something you could be doing for your career. And I think it's also important not to trap yourself inside of that, because you also do need to allow yourself to rest. But like that's what I do, and I try to leave space for family and friends in there as well, and the other stuff that I need to take care of, like grocery shopping and all that nonsense.
Never a dull moment. So you need to multitask and be versatile, which it sounds like you are, in order to do this right.
Right, exactly. And I put a certain amount of pressure on myself, because it's the musician can get such the lazy rap, as far as like, oh, it's like you're a musician, but like, what do you do for a job? And it's like, oh, ouch.
How many singles have you produced, and also even albums too today?
So I have 3 full-length albums. And
You only have about 10 or 12 songs on each album, or better?
yeah, there's 10 on the first one, 13 on the second one, and 10 on the third. And we put out 3 singles since October of last year. So the first one, Tickin', came out October 28th or 29th of 2022, and then we put out Humanity in February, I believe it was, and then we put out Life Worth Dying For on August 18th of this year, and we're working on the 4th single right now, which is called The Garden, and it'll probably be out early next year.
I see. Well, you're busy. You're very productive and busy. That's great.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever done any music videos? And if you have, what's the process for it?
Okay, yeah, so I have. I've done, so for my first record, we did one music video, which was like a full-on, we like rented a studio, like hired a model to play my girlfriend. Little Jimmy Dickens was in that music video. He played the dude who came in at the end and stole my girlfriend. And it was cool. That one was very that's an all-day deal. We did like a photo shoot and the music video. Like we got there at 7 a.m. Did like makeup and everything. Like walked everyone through like what the scenes were gonna be. Like filmed all like the B-roll stuff. We went to 2 locations. And that was a long deal. It turned out looking great, and it was awesome that Little Jimmy Dickens came out and we did that. And then for the next record, we did I think we did three music videos. One for Burn This House Down, the divorce song, and then one for Why Is the Bluebird Blue, and another for Making Things Up As I Go. And me and my buddy at the time just did those basically at night, like when everybody else was, he had his own gear, and we would set up like green screens in certain places. And one of the shots we did in my backyard, and like drug a table out there and filmed it in like 38-degree weather, which is cold for me because I'm from Texas. So it's, I was like, it's, I think I liked the ones where we just like did them ourselves. I enjoyed those more because it was more loosey goosey, and it's not an all day thing. We could break it down into 2 or 3 days because it was all his own gear. And then recently, I've just been doing animated music videos with a guy who reached out to me during the pandemic and was looking for work. And I watched a bunch of his promo reels, and I was like, dude, I love this. So I've been using him since 2020, and he does a fantastic job. I feel like he does better and better every time. But it's a lot of like with technology these days. Like I just send him off a synopsis of the song and like what we think the music video should look like, and we bounce back some ideas, and he animates a rough draft, and then we go over it together virtually, kind of like this. And I'm like, hey, can we have it do this? Is that possible? Is that too much? Because I don't know anything about animation, but I love animation. I think it's just a really cool form of artistry to me, and he is a true artist. So like, you know, we've covered the spectrum of filming music videos, and it's cool.
Like time goes by fast when you're having fun. It's like you're having a ball.
Yeah, it's cool. I've tried. I try to like switch it up every time. Like the live action, people kind of want to see you, which is fine. But like the animation to me is kind of cool because you can go so many more places with animation.
So yeah, that's neat. Computer animation. That's neat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it looks really good too.
That's great. That is cartoons and animation. Yeah,
Yeah.
phenomenal. Yeah. Let me see now. I was thinking, oh yeah. Now, the thing I was thinking about. Have you ever met or worked with any celebrities at all in your experience as a singer, entertainer, songwriter?
Yeah, well, like I said, I work with Little Jimmy Dickens. He was in the music video, and he helped me promote my first record, and I did the show with George Jones, and a lot of there's a lot of older the older Opry stars that I toured with, like Jim Ed Brown and Mo Bandy, and a lot of Jimmy Fortune, who was with the Statler Brothers.
How'd you meet these celebrities? How did you go about?
So for a while I worked with the Hank Williams estate in Nashville. I was an opening act and part manager for like a little bit there, and just took on as many responsibilities as I possibly could to try to, you know, earn some knowledge of the music industry. So and that kind of roped me in with all those. It was really cool too because I got to like meet people who were like part of songs that, like, you know, I would listen to with my dad when I was a kid, and fun memory was we all got to go to Alabama for Hank Williams Music Festival.
Wow.
And so we were all on a bus together. It was like me, Jim Ed Brown, Helen Cornelius, Jet Williams, just a bus. Razzie Bailey was also there, who's this really cool dude. And I got to bring Dad with me. So that was cool because he'd never been on a tour bus, and he had listened to all those people on the radio before. So I got to like give him back something for, you know, like help, like never being like, hey, you're terrible, give up on that music career. You know, he's always supportive of me. So
Your dad's always been supportive. That's great. So
yeah.
You've done some tours, it sounds like, what you're telling me, but you have done some tours.
Oh yeah, quite a bit. Like we did a couple of those, which we called like package shows with multiple artists, and we also that one to Norway was a package show as well. It was me and about 5 or 6 other artists.
Wow.
As well.
Great.
Yeah.
Those are great experiences. those are very rewarding and happy and great experiences. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I'll cherish them forever. That's for sure.
How about any experiences as far as performing on radio or television? Have you had any performances that stand out on your radio and television experiences?
Yeah, I actually try to, every time I put out a song, I try to do try to see if they like won't have me on the news, like around and for like local news and stuff for like promotion. And Austin actually, like I know I'm from San Antonio, so I hope San Antonio doesn't get mad at me, but like I drive up to Austin because I have some buddies that live up there, so I can stay with them. And but their news segment is awesome. Like they cater to musicians like so well. It's one of my favorite places to go. They like provide you with monitors, and like their green room is fantastic. It's just a really cool experience, and they're all so nice, and like people be like singing along and clapping along in the studio, and it just feels like you're amongst a really good crowd.
Any television shows that or radio shows in particular?
Yeah. Radio show, my favorite one to go on was WSM 650 AM in Nashville. And that's like the Opry radio station with Bill Cody in the mornings, like one of the most listened to shows on there. But like that station is cool because you're live on air in the middle of like the Opryland Hotel. So you're like looking out on the Opryland Hotel Plaza, and like people walking by the window will like take pictures of you while you're on the radio and like tag you in them. And some people will show up outside and like want to take pictures and, you know, talk to you and everything. And it's cool. They're just like professionals. They really do the work in like studying your career, and they ask you like, you know, really like interviews like this, like, but they're shorter, you know, you only have like a segment. So they really dig, and they find stuff that, you know, and sometimes I ask you ahead of time, like, what do you want to talk about? And you're like, this, you know, let's promote the single. But like some of them have been cool. It's like you can tell they like really dug through your biography, or like went back and looked at your Facebook and saw, it's like, yeah, I saw that you did this show with this show, and brings up this like really great conversation and story time. It's you know, it's a craft, you know, you respect anybody who really, you know, is passionate about their craft. But WSM was always one of my favorite places to.
That's fantastic. That's really great. And television now, any television shows that you remember that stand out that you've done?
I don't think I've really done many television shows other than like news spots and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think that I have.
I see. I got you. Well, boy, that's very interesting. Let me ask you, Jeremy, what is your favorite part of the entertainment business? Favorite entertainer performer, unforgettable Elvis Presley was one of my favorites. And he had mentioned that he got tired of a movie contracts. When he got tired of the movie contracts, he really missed the live audience. He missed performing in front of a live audience. So and singing and entertaining, you know, he went to Las Vegas and everything. What is your favorite part of the business? Is it making records? Is it performing live, singing? Is it writing songs? Maybe it's more than one thing. I don't know.
Yeah, what's interesting about that question is I think I like all of those different things for different reasons. But like if I had to pick one, like if you were like, you can only keep one of these things, what would it be? I would have to choose performing live. Because performing, I've since I was a child, I've loved to travel. Performing live checks two boxes for me, as I get to travel to sometimes a new place to play a show in front of new people, you know, new town, new venue, whatever it may be. That's exciting for me. I get to go a new direction. I take a new back road. I love performing live, and then you get to do the show on top of that. So you're like exploring and doing what you love. So
you get to see the reaction of the crowd. You like to have the reaction of the crowd also.
I do, and then there's like something about every live show, no matter how close you try to get it, is always going to be a little different.
Yeah.
Because I mean, your voice isn't the same every day based on like allergies or whatever's going on. Like, there's always certain things that are different. You like, so like I played in Fredericksburg earlier today. Tomorrow I'll play in Blanco for a completely different type of crowd and a completely different type of room.
I see.
And it's cool. Like, it's just night and day different, and you navigate. Like, I've gotten to the point where I don't do my set list ahead of the show unless it's like a very like a 45-minute set or something, like a very small set where I have to whittle down like what I want to play. I usually just leave it open because I got to gauge the crowd once I get there.
Let's see.
So that it's just fun because it's multifaceted. But the other stuff is great too. Like, I love writing for like the therapeutic just art of it, like getting something off your chest or like getting a story out or like some type of like repressed thing that wriggled up that needed to come out via song, or something you felt like you needed to say and for some reason it only came out musically. It's all got its part, and the studio is a whole different beast in the sense like you have to really you're so used to that open air and seeing people in front of you and hearing all like the sounds of like amplifiers being live and certain frequencies, and the studio is so dormant of life outside of you and your producer or whoever else might be in the room. You have to almost amp yourself up and get yourself in the energy of the song, and that's why I think you see so many vocal booths like vibed out with like lava lamps and stuff, because you're trying to create some kind of reactionary deal that is happening in front of you, because we're so used to the stimulus, like also stimulating yourself. But so it's interesting, but it's fun, man. Like, when you're in the pocket and you nail it, that creative process is, you can push yourself in the studio in a certain way that brings something out that you might not have known was there, that you start to implement in the live show. So it all kind of like comes together in this beautiful triage in a way. But it's like I said, if I only had to pick one, I'd stick with the live shows.
You would. Okay. Now, I just want to, at this particular point of the show, I want to give a shout out to Michael Stover. Michael Stover, the publicist, the one that because of him, I was able to get this show. How did you meet Michael Stover?
He actually, so at the time he was working with my girlfriend in Nashville, who's my ex-girlfriend now. She was using him, and I was just about to release my second project, and she recommended him. She was like, "Hey, yeah, I'm using Michael, and he's fantastic." And I was like, "Well, I'll give him a shot," And that was late 2016, early 2017, and I've been using him ever since. He's a great dude. He's easy to get in touch with. He basically like family at this point. Like there's I mean, it's in this industry, it's really difficult to find people that you can say it's like, I trust this dude. The entertainment industry is a gross industry filled with a lot of gross people, and Michael Stover is not one of those. So he's a breath of fresh air in this industry, and he's a very dependable dude. He's a hard worker. He works hard for all his clients, and he's irreplaceable.
He is great. God bless him. I've got many shows because of Michael Stover. He's fantastic.
He really is.
I want to ask you, if you had anything to do anything over again in your life and your career, Jeremy, would you do anything differently?
You know what? I don't know if I should do anything differently, because I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, and you always think, well, if I did one thing different, would it be worse or would it be better? But, we don't know that. We don't get to know that. But I think, I think no. I would say no. I think I did everything exactly how I was supposed to do it. Even though sometimes I have the conversations where like people ask me there. I always say I might should have left Nashville a little bit sooner. Because I lived there for 10 years. And I was thinking, I don't know why I held out for so long. I was in a certain sense happy there, but musically I wasn't playing as many shows as I wanted and the type of shows that I wanted. And I knew I could get that down here in Texas. And I always said that I probably should have left Nashville like 3 or 4 years sooner, but then I present the argument to myself. I ended up making my Things to Come record in 20. We finished it in like August, September, October of 2019, and I moved back in November. So I think I needed to finish that project, and then I was ready to go. But that's the only thing, and like I said, that I can even like think my way around saying that. But so I guess I don't think I would change a thing. I'm very
You're
content.
content with what you've done. You're very happy.
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
regrets. Do you have any present projects, Jeremy, at all?
Yeah, I like I said, I put out my current single, which is still out there
And that's called, what is that
doing
called?
stuff on radio. It's called Life Worth Dying For.
Life We're Dying.
Yeah, you can find that everywhere. It's on my website too, jeremyparsonsmusic.com. But that it actually got 3 #1 spots on a chart this past week. AC 40, I believe it was, Adult Contemporary 40, and a country chart, which is nice. I don't really know what any of that stuff means, but it looks good, so I'm appreciative of that.
Well, people hear that song, they're going to know it's Life We're Dying For. They're going to know the answer to that.
Yeah. So I'm working on that, and we're gonna put out a new single earlier next year. I don't have an exact date on that. Maybe like March, April-ish. But we're working on that right now. We're getting the artwork ready, and I'm gonna
Great.
get my music video dude on that as soon as I possibly can, so we can get everything ready to go.
I see. Do you have any future dream projects you haven't done yet that you'd like to do?
Yeah, so this project we're working on right now is kind of like a 3 or 4-parter. So it's a bunch of EPs that all link together. Songs that I wrote over the past like 3 to 5 years that I've wanted to do stuff with, and we're taking just like a different approach to them. So we're gonna do that, and it's that this project alone is going to put out probably close to 30, maybe even more of my original songs that have been previously unreleased.
Fantastic.
So it's a catalog. And then we have an acoustic project planned after that, and I think we were already planning another full-length project after that. So there's a lot of music that's going to come out of this face.
That's something to look forward to, Jeremy. And it is. You have a lot of projects, a lot of irons in the fire there. How can people find out more about you now? If they want to find out more about you, Jeremy, tell me about the links, your entertainment website, Facebook page, Instagram, if you have a YouTube channel, or imdb.com. Tell me about the different links so people know how to find out about you.
Yeah, best place to go is jeremyparsonsmusic.com. It'll have all the links to socials, but if you want to find me on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, anything like that, it's also, facebook.com/jeremyparsonsmusic. So it makes it easy for everybody if you're looking for that. But like I said, you can go to the media page on jeremyparsonsmusic.com/media, and it'll take you to all those links as well.
Are you on LinkedIn or Instagram, any of those?
I am. LinkedIn is, I believe it's also Jeremy Parsons Music, and Instagram is also Jeremy Parsons Music.
Great, fantastic. So people should have no problem finding you. Jeremy, okay, now it's time. Now I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, here's the time you've all been waiting for. It's showtime with Jeremy Parsons, and we have a couple of original songs. I'm sure you're gonna have a great time listening to. The first song is called "Life Worth Dying." It's life worth dying for. Relax and enjoy. Have a great, entertaining time.
I can honestly say, if today was my last day, yeah, I'd accept my fate and was to be done anyway. 'Cause it is what it is, and we all get what we get. Did you cherish every breath that's from me if nothing's left? Oh, I've lived a life worth dying for. Oh, I smiled and I laughed till I cried. Yeah, I learned and I loved, falling and stood back up. When I could, I did all I could do. Don't know about you, but I'll say this for sure. Oh, I've lived a life worth dying for. Yeah, I'm feeling fine. It's just the thought finds me sometimes. Do you think about it some? Maybe I think of it too much. I did not mean to kill the buzz. No, that's not why I brought this up. I guess I just hope and pray someday I can hear you say, oh, I've lived a life worth dying for. Oh, I smiled and I laughed till I cried. Yeah, I learned and I loved, falling and stood back up. When I could, I did all I could do. Don't know about you, but I'll say this for sure. Oh, I've lived a life worth dying for. All I ask one day is wherever I might lay. But these words, they're on display for all that might just come my way. But these words, they're on display for all that might just come my way. Oh, I've lived a life worth dying for. Oh, I smiled and I laughed till I cried. Yeah, I learned and I loved, falling and stood back up. When I could, I did all I could do. Don't know about you, but I'll say this for sure. Oh, I've lived a life worth dying for. Oh, I've lived a life worth dying for.
All right, bravo, bravo. What a great song. His life worth dying for. Forward with our second original song, Jeremy Parsons, Something Other Than You Are. Go for it. Have a blazing hot fun time, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you ever long to be something other than you are? A blade of grass, a skipping stone, or a bright and shining star? If I was a gem or some amethyst I'd be, you would put your faith and trust in me. And if I was a tree, oh, the pines that I would choose, I would fall in line so you could have a view. And if I was a bird, make me a cardinal bright and red, I'd fly by your window every chance I'd get. Body of water, oh, I guess I'd be a lake. I'd stay blue just so you could have a happy place. Do you ever long to be something other than you are? A blade of grass, a skipping stone, or a bright and shining star? It's any constellation, oh, it's Ursa Major, I'd shine lighter than the rest. No, I would never waver, a field of flowers, I'd be your favorite one. It doesn't matter where, just give me you in the rain and sun. Do you ever long to be something other than you are? A blade of grass, a skipping stone, or a bright and shining star? What if you felt like enough? What if everybody did? What if everything was perfect just the way it is? Do you ever long to be something other than you are? A blade of grass, a skipping stone, or a bright and shining star? Do you ever long to be something other than you are?
That is so catchy, Jeremy. Yeah, you have me singing there. Did you ever want to be something that you are? Phenomenal. That's really phenomenal. Jeremy Parsons, I want to thank you very much for being a guest on this show, on the Amazing World of Johnny Blaze show. You have had and continue to have a blazing, amazing life and entertainment as a singer and songwriter. And you name it, you've done it and continue to do it. Keep blazing those trails, Jeremy.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on as well. This has been a great conversation. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. I did too. Now, as we get ready to wrap up and close the show, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say, I always say, for all my fans and friends, always keep a smile on your face and a song in your heart. And until next time, happy trails and blaze out.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to be a guest on an entertainment talk show, please send us an email at amazingoriginalJBshow@gmail.com. All of our episodes will appear on YouTube and Facebook and receive over 3,000 views. Don't forget to sign up for our YouTube channel, and every guest will receive a complimentary DVD of their appearance on the show. Remember, we are much better than a podcast. And now, the amazing, original Johnny Blaze has just left the building. Good night. God bless.